News.com.au political editor Mal Farr. Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull this morning played down the prospect of any concrete decisions emerging from today's mini-summit on economic reform. He did, however, want to explore issues and their solutions. What was discussed?
Well, look, there was a definite change in style by Prime Minister Turnbull. He clearly marked a demarcation line between the way he wanted to examine economic policy and the way it was done under Prime Minister Tony Abbott. He met with the leaders of industry groups today. That was just the start of a process. Mr Turnbull wanted to make clear that no one had proposals which couldn't be challenged and tested. He wanted a lot of consultation. That means that we might be much further down the track before we see any concrete policies, which he insists he'll run through Cabinet first.
All right, well, the PM does say whether it's in the tax system, which is obviously the key area of focus for most people and groups, or other areas of policy, it's important to get a consensus on what the government is actually trying to achieve. Have any areas been specifically identified?
Well, that's the point. Everything is now on the table. You might remember that under previous Treasurer Joe Hockey, the Abbott government would not talk about changing the superannuation system, which gave generous tax breaks to wealthy retirement savers. That's over. That is on the Turnbull table. Plus, you might remember that the Abbott government had promised tax cuts, income tax cuts, at the next election. That's not so sure now, although Treasurer Scott Morrison today acknowledged that just 15 years ago or so, 80% of workers were paying around 30 cents in the dollar tax. Now it's fewer, or just around 25% of workers, and there had to be changes there. But, as I say, everything now is on the table. All the things that were proscribed by the Abbott government are back there for consideration.
All right, well, tax obviously is one of the key things, as well as individual superannuation, managing our economy, really coming up with some sort of reform. So, as you say, it does separate him from the Abbott era. Obviously, that tax reform is the single biggest lever that the federal government has on the economy. This guy's got the experience, Mal, to get the balance right. Were there any indications whether he's got a timeline or I guess, an understanding of when this might start?
Well, Mr Turnbull specifically said he wasn't going to be held to a timetable. He's just going to keep this consultation rolling. Described himself as expeditious but not rash. He was an activist, he said. But
yeah, what do you make of those comments? That's, you know, gee, he sounds great.
Well, yes. Look, it was interesting to compare those comments with comments Tony Abbott made on Melbourne radio today, in which he said of the 2014 budget that it was brave and bold, too bold for the Parliament. Well, Malcolm Turnbull is not going to throw something at the Parliament that he thinks is too bold or without the agreement of most senators that it should be implemented. It's a distinct change in style.
Yeah, obviously this is just the start of what Turnbull is describing as an orderly, thoughtful, consultative process to come up with the right answers for Australia. While that does seem responsible and makes it very difficult for us in the media to do our jobs, does he have enough time, Mal, to actually do what he wants to do before the next election, before that vote comes up? People will want to see change.
They will, and they want to see what the Labor Party and the Coalition are laying out. They would like a real policy contest. Now, not only is Mr Turnbull offering to consult, but he has as his treasurer, Scott Morrison, someone who is very pragmatic about policy, someone who can take voters along with him, even some of the nastier elements of refugee policy when he was immigration minister, can take voters along with him. So he'll be crucial in spending the next 10 to 12 months getting those economic policies through to voters and getting their agreement.
Okay, what's next week? What are voters and analysts and pretty much everyone here in Australia looking to in terms of the political front?
Well, I guess a lot of people are wondering what China's going to do to us, and there are already mutterings about recession. That's probably too extreme, but certainly the Prime Minister, Turnbull, will be getting on with talking to people on a wide range of topics, and then Parliament will come back. There's only 5 more sitting weeks of Parliament before the Christmas break. That will be a crucial period, with Tony Abbott sitting on the back bench and Bill Shorten determined to embarrass the new Turnbull government as much as possible.
That is absolutely for sure. Malfar, thanks so much.
Pleasure.